Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my updated everyday makeup routine for the winter. I have some new products that I'm using and new techniques that I'm using as well. So if you'd like to see how I got this look today, then keep on watching. So first, for skincare, I use the same 3 products every day. So the first one is the Facial Radiance Pads from First Aid Beauty. I actually cut them in half just because I feel like I don't need a full pad. I can use half of one. So I use one of these before my makeup every day, and I'll just go over my face. It just makes my skin feel so smooth and preps it for makeup. I use the Ultra Repair Cream from First Aid Beauty as well. Whenever it's dry or anything, I use that and it really moisturizes my skin. But the product that has changed my skin that I've used for the last, I think, 2 weeks now, every morning and night, is Bio Oil. Okay, this product is so amazing, and my skin used to be so textured, but since I've used this, seriously, my skin is so soft. It literally feels like a baby's bum, and it is probably my new all-time favorite product for body and face, and it doesn't clog your pores, so that's amazing. So I use a little bit before my makeup, 2 dabs of it, and I'll just apply this to my skin. And it gives your face a really nice, natural, like, radiant glow, which I love. So that is all I do for my skin prep. The first product I'm using is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I don't know how, but all the writing has rubbed off of mine. And I'll just be applying this to the high points of my face. I don't really use primer, only if I'm like going out for the night and I want my makeup to stick. I'll use the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. And then just using my beauty blender, I'll just be blending this into the skin. Next, moving on to foundation. I just bought this foundation last week and I am obsessed with it. It is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. This is in the shade 445. I use about 2 pumps. I'll just put it on like the back of my moisturizer, just 2 pumps like that. And I'll be using a brush to blend it out. I'm using the e.l.f. Buffing Foundation brush. I'll start by taking just like a little bit of it and putting it on the center of my face. I'll brush it and then I'll do patting motions. Just put on my second layer and it builds so nicely. And lately I haven't been liking a lot of coverage on my forehead, so what I do is I'll just keep going over the face, and then with the remainder that's on the brush, I will just stipple and blend that into the forehead. Okay, I'm actually gonna put my hair back because it's just annoying me. So I used 2 pumps on my face and I still have like quite a bit left, so I'm going to use my beauty blender and I'm going to go back over my whole face, just really making sure that the foundation is blended. And I like going in with the beauty blender after the brush because I can get rid of any like brush marks, brush strokes if there is any. Moving on to concealer, I've been using 2 concealers. I've been using the Tarte Shape Tape and then the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I'll be putting a dot in the center of my forehead, under my eye, and then a little bit up here, around my nose, on my chin. I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Small Stipple Brush, and I'm just going to be patting this. I like to go from like forehead, nose, around the lips, chin, and then my eyes last. And for the under eyes, I will use my beauty blender. And if I need a little extra coverage, then I'll go in with my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I'll just be putting this directly under my eyes or wherever I want that extra coverage. Always make sure when you're blending, you're pressing it into the skin, you're not rubbing, because rubbing will take the makeup off, and patting it will just make sure that the product is going exactly where you placed it and not all over the place. Then with the remainder that is on my beauty blender, I'll just go underneath where I'm going to contour for a little extra coverage. And then for cream contouring today, I ordered this online and it just came last week. It is the Chanel Tan de Soleil. It's a new name though. I've never had this, surprisingly, and I'm using it with the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. I'm just going to be pressing it into the areas where you would typically contour, not rubbing it. Again, you always want to pat and press the products in. For the nose, I'll just pinch my brush, get a bit of product on there, and then pat down the sides. and then brush upwards on the tip of my nose. And then I actually like to do a little bit under my bottom lip. And I'll take my beauty blender once again, just around the edges, just to make sure that there's no harsh lines and it's all blended seamlessly. And then for powder, I like to use the Airspun powder, but I just picked up the Fenty Beauty translucent powder. This is in the shade Butter. I actually really like this powder. I've used it only twice. So far, I love it. So what I'll do first is I'll just take my beauty blender. I will blend upwards to get rid of the crease marks underneath the eye. I'll do one eye at a time, and then just take powder on a powder puff and press this into the skin. I'm pressing it, but I'm also doing kind of like a rolling motion. So I'm pressing it and rolling it into the skin, and then I will do that with my eyelid. And then again, same thing with the other side, using my beauty blender and then pressing and rolling the powder. I don't think the Airspun powder is as fine as this powder is because my under eyes have never looked so smooth until I started using this. Then I will go around my nose with it because I do tend to crease a lot in here, and then I will just pat over the rest of my face. Again, I'm not rubbing or anything, it's all patting, so the face makeup will stay. It is a little more time consuming to just pat your powder in like this, but the results are so worth it. I will use a powder brush to just go over the neck. This is just the Real Techniques powder brush. And if you just want to make sure all the powder is blended, you can use this lightly to go over your face. Again, not swiping motions, just patting motions. And that is all for the face. So next, moving on to bronzer, I use the Hoola bronzer by Benefit. So I just like to use a little bit on this Zoeva. I don't really know what that says, it's rubbed off, but it looks like Luxe Cheek Finish. I'll just be patting it towards the backs of my cheekbones here, not coming into the center of my face. And then just doing circular motions a little bit on the forehead. And I actually like to use the brush that it came with. I've had it for so long, but I just like take it out. I'll just go on my jawline, but like it's the perfect brush. I don't know why I've never thought to use it, but I've been loving using it. And then I'll just go over my cheek with this. You can use an eyeshadow brush or something for the contour on your nose, but I had a mini Hoola, the mini brush that came with it. I'll just put a little bit on like this side, one side of it, and then go not on the side of the nose, but like on top of the nose, but to the side, if that makes sense. And then on the bottom of the nose. And then I'll just be taking a bigger brush. This is the Real Techniques blush brush, it's called. And I'll just be using this to go over very lightly over the bronzer, just to make sure, again, it's all blended. Next, for blush, I'm still using and loving the Patrick Ta blush in the shade She's So LA. I love this. And I also use the Kylie Cosmetics blush in the shade Winter Kiss. I'll be first going in with the Patrick Ta blush using a Zoeva Flex Face Definer. And I'll just be putting this all over the cheek area, so the apples of the cheeks, and then as well towards the temple. And then I'll use a bit of Kylie's Winter Kiss blush, just because this is very like pink. It's like a very cool tone pink. Just on the apples of my cheeks, to kind of warm my face up a little more. And then I'll do a bit on my nose as well. And I still like to bake. I'll do that before I put on my highlighter. I just use the Wet n Wild Mega Glow contouring palette, and I just use my Real Techniques sponge, and I'll pick up a bit of the light shade here, and I'll just press this on the sides of the nose just to get a more defined nose contour here. And then I also will use a bit of it underneath my contour, doing a little bit like directly under the eyes, just to lighten it a little bit more. I'll be leaving that on while I do my eyebrows. So for my eyebrows, I just use the NYX eyebrow pencil in the shade Taupe. So I'll start by brushing my brows upwards, and then using the pencil, I'll run it back and forth on the bottom of my eyebrow. And then I don't do the top of the eyebrow, I'll just run it back and forth throughout my whole brow, just filling it in and then brushing it up again. Now I'll just wipe away my bake. I just use the Morphe M554 brush, and I'll just kind of like pat and like flick, but then for under here I just like lightly dust back and forth. Now moving on to the eyes. For my everyday, I don't really do a lot of eyeshadow, but I do a little eyeshadow wing. First, I'm just taking the Hoola bronzer on a fluffy brush. This is the Morphe M441, applying it to the crease just for a little bit of definition. And then for my wing, I'll be using my Makeup by Mario palette, and I'll be using the dark brown shade mixed with a little bit of the black for my wing. This is the Sephora angled liner brush. Okay, my camera cut out, but what I do after the wing is I just use the Zoeva Luxe Smoky Shader Brush, and I just will go underneath just to really blend that out. I'll be applying my eyelashes. For mascara, I use the telescopic. So the lashes I'm using today are the Kiss 01s, but I've cut them down a lot. They were a lot longer than this. I cut them down and then also cut the corner, so it gives a more natural look. I'll be applying this using my Duo Lash Glue. Some tips for eyelashes is just looking down, so not closing your eye or anything, but having the mirror down so you can just place it on top, and then I hold it in the center first, and then I will place the outer corner and then the inner corner. So after I go in with the tweezers, I will just push the lash into my lash line, just pinching the lash with your natural lashes will just give it a more natural appearance. And then I like to just use my finger and press upwards. Now I'm ready to move on to lips. I still use my #1 favorite Kylie lip liner in the shade Coconut. I'll just line my lips with this. And I like to fill in the top lip. And then with the bottom lip, I will just fill in the corners and leaving the center with nothing on it. And then I will use the Too Faced Lip Injection Gloss. So I'll just apply this to all over my lips. So I wouldn't do this makeup for like an everyday at home chillin'. I would do it for more like if I'm running errands or just want to look put together, because I find that even in the winter months, you know, there's like seasonal depression and all that, and you just feel like bleh. But I find putting my makeup on every day makes me motivated and more productive. If I'm wanting to look cute and I'm feeling down, this is the makeup that I will do. And then for final touches, I'll just use the Marc Jacobs Omega Bronze in the shade Tantalize. I'll just use a little bit of this on my cheeks just to warm them up a little more. I feel like somehow in the process of doing my makeup, my bronzer like disappears off my face. I didn't forget about highlighter. I used the Bobbi Brown Shimmer Brick in the shade, is this even Shimmer Brick? Oh, this is just the highlighting powder in the shade Moon Glow. It's a really pretty gold shade. I'll just use this with the Real Technique setting brush, and I'll just apply a little bit on the backs of my cheekbones. Then for my nose, I'll just use my finger and just tap the center of my nose, and then add a little bit going down the bridge. And then I even like to do a little bit on my forehead above my eyebrow arch. And I don't like doing anything to my to under my eyes. Sometimes I will use my the Zoeva Luxe Smoky Shader Brush that I use to blend out the wing. I'll use a little bit of my Hoola bronzer and just go on the outer corners of my eye with this. I don't like bringing it all the way. I'll just use a little bit of my clear brow gel. I know I do it in like such weird orders, like doing my highlighter, under eye, and then brow gel. Sometimes it's just because I forget. I also forgot to mention, I don't usually set my face on a day-to-day basis, but if I do, I will use the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Spray and Set Makeup Extender. So I'll just do a few spritzes of this over my face and then use my beauty blender to just pat over. Okay, that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.